The ingredients that I have for my pepper sauce today could not be any simpler. In my bowl here I have the star of the show, I have my hot peppers, and today I'm using these Italian cherry peppers, and this is just because I had these on hand in abundance. I wanted to mention you can use any type of hot pepper that you have on hand and any type of hot pepper you can find in your grocery store. As far as the other seasonings, it's very simple. I have some peeled garlic cloves here, and I have about a head to a head and a half of garlic. As usual, I'll have all of my ingredients and all of my measurements in the description box down below, so make sure you check that out when you're putting this dish together. I also have some white distilled vinegar, and the amount of distilled vinegar totally depends on how runny you want your hot sauce. So if you want a really runny and thin hot sauce, you're going to be adding more vinegar than if you wanted a really chunky and thick pepper sauce. In my bowl here, I also have some sugar. You can use brown sugar or white sugar, it really doesn't matter. My grandmother gave me the tip that you need to add this in not only to round out that pepper flavor, that raw pepper flavor, but you also want to add it in to keep the dish from spoiling. She said that this is a great way to keep it from spoiling. And in my bowl here, I have a good amount of salt. Now, you want salt to taste for this dish. This is a lot of peppers, so you're going to need a good amount of salt. The salt is another agent, along with the vinegar, that keeps this pepper sauce from spoiling. Now, before I get started, I want to quickly mention that although I will have my ingredients and my measurements in the description box down below, this dish is purely based on taste. Remember, this is a condiment that you're going to be putting on top of your food, so your taste buds might be different than mine. So all of the ingredients that I'm adding in here, feel free to play around with them and feel free to play around with all of the amounts. If you want to, while you're blending this up, you can add in a little bit at a time and keep tasting, so this way you get the perfect pepper sauce as per your taste. So let's get into the recipe, guys. The first step when making this dish is to work with the peppers. So last night I went ahead and gave these peppers a really good rinse to get any impurities off of the skin. If you wanted to, you could even put them all in a big bowl and put some water on top and rinse them out that way as well. What I did next was I put them in a colander and I allowed all of that water to drain overnight because I wanted them to be as dry as possible. Now that they're perfectly washed and they're clean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the stems from them, and then I'm going to show you guys what we do next. I have all of my hot peppers and I've gone ahead and I've taken off all of the stems. My reason for doing so is because the stems are pretty hard and pretty woody, so if you were to put them in with your pepper sauce, sometimes they don't disintegrate fully and you'll be biting down on little chunks of hard stem. I also cut them in half. My reason for doing so is because the peppers are pretty big, so when I put them in my blender, with them being a little bit cut, they're going to be easier to go ahead and blend up and become a puree. Also, by cutting them in half, you're going to be able to check if the pepper was bad or not. These were freshly picked peppers, so I wanted to make sure that none of them were rotting inside, and same goes for the ones at the grocery store. You can just check in on them by cutting them in half. I also wanted to mention that while you're handling these peppers, you can either wear some gloves, you can coat your hands in a little bit of oil, so this way none of the oils from these hot peppers will seep into your skin. If you make direct contact with these peppers, be very careful because certain types of peppers will actually burn your skin if you touch them. And please, if you touch them with your bare hands, do not rub your eyes. So right here, I have my blender, and as you guys can see, I put all of my peppers in my blender. I managed to fit them all. If you need to do it in batches, feel free to do so. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works better for you. And if you wanted to, feel free to use your food processor. If you do not have a blender, it'll do the same exact job. So into these hot peppers, I'm going to go in with all of my garlic. And once I add that garlic in, I'm going to go in with my sugar. And I'm also going to go in with my salt. Now I'm going to add about half of my salt before I add in the rest, because I want to blend all of this up and then give it a taste, just to see how the flavors are doing. And at this point, I'm going to add in my vinegar. Now I might need a little more vinegar than this because I'm seeing that it's a lot of hot peppers, but I'll be able to gauge that once I blend this up. So my pepper sauce has blended up for the most part, and I just wanted to show you this texture. As you guys can see, it's pretty runny. It has a nice thickness to it. It's not too thin and too loose. If you wanted it to be more thin and more loose, then feel free to add in more vinegar, but I think this texture is perfectly fine for me. But I wanted to tell you guys that once you open it for the first time, you want to go ahead and give it a taste. I gave it a taste, and I think that it needs a little more sweetness just to round it out a bit. So I'm going to go in with a peeled carrot, and I'm also going to go in with just a pinch more sugar. Now, if you taste it and you feel that the taste is just fine without the carrot, feel free to use it as is. But this is the reason why people will sometimes add carrots. They'll add like an apple or cucumber or something like that. That'll just be to take away some of that raw pepper taste and give it more of a balanced sweetness. So that's why I'm adding in the carrot at this point. Now, as for the salt, I tasted it and I thought it had the perfect amount of salt. But then again, some people like a very salty pepper sauce and some people like a pretty not salty pepper sauce. So it depends on your taste. So I went in with that piece of carrot and I also went in with a little bit of brown sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and blend it up again and show you guys what it looks like. After I added in a little bit more sugar and I added in that carrot, it rounded out the flavor perfectly. I gave it a taste and I thought it was great. Alright guys, my pepper sauce is officially done. I just turned off my blender and I want to show you guys this texture now. You can see how nice and velvety smooth this pepper sauce is. I love this texture. Remember, if you want it more chunky or you want the flavors different, go ahead and play around with it. I promise there's no way to mess up this pepper sauce. Just keep adding ingredients a little bit at a time, keep tasting, and I promise you are going to get the perfect pepper sauce. Alright guys, so I have a jar here that I'm going to use to hold my pepper sauce. Once you're happy with the texture of your pepper sauce, you can pour it straight from the blender right into your container of choice. Now I wanted to mention that when storing this pepper sauce, you have a few choices. You can go ahead and stick it in the fridge and it'll stay for a really long time. You could even put it on your counter on a cool and dry place, so this way it can be preserved as well. I promise you this pepper sauce lasts such a long time. You will be putting this on top of almost any Alright guys, with that we are officially done. This pepper sauce making process is complete. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I want to thank you guys for watching today. Go ahead and give this video a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. And make sure you leave your comments down below and tell me what you guys would like me to make next. And if you guys make this pepper sauce, tell me how it came out for you guys. Once again, I'll see you guys in another one of my awesome recipes. Until next time.